Hello everybody. I'm getting a lot of content about ego death lately. So I'm gonna make a video this morning about it. Basically the ego's always dying because it's not real. So it's continually dying. The difference is when you're awake, when consciousness is awake and aware of itself, it's a little bit different, because that clinging energy, that identification with these egoic patterns is no longer in place, which does not mean that they are not deeply and intensely experienced. So now ego death is consciously being witnessed, and these periods of deconstruction are often followed by deep, thick periods of silence, stillness, and integration. So basically when an ego death starts to happen, or it's occurring, sorry about the sun behind me, when it starts deconstructing core patterns, it goes into the very core and the essence of self, small s. And I'm gonna film this video. This is very difficult for me to film. I'm gonna stay with it, as it's very difficult to get this type of content out in terms of pointedness and clarity. Give me a second, please. Let's just take a moment of silence here. So when ego death is conscious, it's basically unbearable. But it is obviously bearable. It just feels unbearable. And the way that you know that it's happening is you can't find a reason for your suffering anymore. Suffering doesn't have roots, it doesn't have any ground, it has no concrete foundation anymore. It's just simply there. You can't really fix it and make it go away anymore. So for example, you can't get a new relationship, you can't get a new job, you can't relocate, you can't, it's seen that there's no stopping it and no way to kind of prevent the collapse. And so the ego will then kick into high gear. It will it's very difficult to film this. Let me go in the sun here. It will basically have to endure its collapse. That which you are, that aspect of being which is true and eternal, is the container, is the chamber in which this death happens. So it's being witnessed. It's being witnessed by an empty being in an empty stillness. And I would be so curious for people who are going through this to type in their experience of how they would describe this, because I'm at a loss for words. It's very difficult for me to explain this, and the reason I'm attempting to is because what will happen is the ego will start to think it's crazy and it's a mental health issue. And so I just want to bust that myth up that that you can fix this or make it go away or make it better. It has to be endured. It just does. The periods, again, after these core collapses, because you'll have smaller layers kind of falling off and deconstructing, but the core roots of the energetics that are actually very transpersonal, like they're egoic roots from ancestral and collective patterns. So they're very deep and heavy and very, very thick, very, very intense, very, very difficult. But the core roots, when they get pulled out and when they get pulled up, it's important to distinguish that those are also seen from a egoic perspective as security. So the ego actually likes to suffer, and it likes to maintain its density. So it doesn't really want to release and let go of these thick episodes of ego death. So when you start getting towards like kind of the end of your awakening process, it will get supercharged. Letting go, releasing, allowing is kind of like the preschool of awakening. When you get to full-on ego death, it is absolute, it's full-on. It's full-on, people. So it'll want to hold on like a little comfort zone to its suffering, because it's like, well, I'll just adapt the melancholic, persona of it's all me. I'm the problem. I'm the one that's screwed up. There's no hope for me. This is hopeless. I've talked about this before in the video I filmed called Lemons or something Lemons. But basically what I'm pointing out in that video there is that many people that get to that point of extremity, they give up and they fall into deep, dark depression, because these energies want to keep identifying and hold on to anything, even if it's like an unpleasant persona or a difficult situation. It'd rather hold on to that than fully let go. So be wary of those tendencies. They're not you, they're not yours, but they are, it's just that aspect of you that feels separate. It's gonna want to maintain its separateness. That's its primary agenda and its primary goal. Just walking faster because there's a hiker behind me. And sorry, bear with me guys today, because if I don't get this out now, I'll get it out eventually, but I just really want to clarify that that basically letting go is not the end. There has to be a full-on collapse. Okay, there has to be a full-on collapse, and it's not pretty, and nobody's gonna get it. It's gonna be very difficult to explain this to loved ones or people looking at this from the outside, because again, it's not a mental health issue. So okay, let me gather my thoughts and I'll link up the second half of this video. I'm sorry about the choppiness of this. One moment, please. Thank you for bearing with me. Okay, so the main thing I wanted to say on this video is that once you get towards the end of the deconstruction of the personal I and into the actual ego death, it does not leave the premises easily. And any technique or tactic that you have, go ahead and use it to try and create more comfort in the body. But eventually you have to endure the process. Simply remember, and this is the key of this video today, simply remember that it's not happening to you. It's not destroying you. It feels like it is, but you are the witness of this process. You are watching this. You are the silent witness of this collapse. If you're at that point where you're going into the deep kind of dark tunnel of this where there's no way out, just know you're exactly where you're meant to be, right? You're exactly where you're meant to be. Even though it feels like the end, it is the end. That's why it's called ego death. And so it's been my commitment here on Spiritual Shifts to describe these things to you, because it's very easy to get lost in descriptions of how things should be and try and hope for that, beautiful, more loving, more gentle, more cookie cutter version of oneness. But when we're talking about the end of separation, we're talking about a full falling through into the core essence of your being, which is absolute stillness. So that's why you will also notice that these periods of, the heavier decompositions do come, as extreme as they are. The other end of that is that they're followed by periods of deep, deep rest and stillness, where the mind's quiet, the body's quiet, and everything settles down. So it's kind of like the calm after the storm. And when the rainbows come out, I don't know. There's always a rainbow somewhere. But your tactics and your strategies, whatever you've learned from your spiritualized conditioning, if it makes you feel better and if it makes it more bearable, go for it. Go for it. Surrender. You can't surrender to anything at this point, because the ego does not want to surrender at all. It just doesn't. That's why I'm telling you that when you get to some of these deeper collapses, it's going to try and adapt the identity of poor me, or, the depressive side of this, and go to that extreme. So it'll pick whatever ground it can to prevent its full and total disintegration. So be simply aware of this, pay attention, and endure. It's not you enduring it. You're not enduring it. It's already being endured. It's already the requisite to the process. So hope this helps. Hope this is useful. Nice, beautiful, clear day here, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.